All right, y'all. First and foremost, give our praises to Yahweh by Shem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham. Give us a sincere greeting to the brothers and sisters scattered across the four corners, teaching this word with sincerity and charity. Let's make sure this thing is up and running and everything is everything. I do got some solutions in on the way. You know, the solutions coming in. They not here yet. They not here yet, but they should be here, y'all willing, next week. And we really, I just got the notification. All right, so it is live. We are live. Let me send out some notifications to brothers and sisters. Um, but yeah, so I think it's an internet situation, and so I bumped up the juice. I bumped the juice up, and we're gonna see if that gives us some solutions, man, some resolutions. Like hopefully that takes care of the problem. The bad audio, it's a lot of different things that I should be deleting some of these videos, and I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing uh after a while, just for those who just really just want to see it, and who really hungry and desiring the sincere milk of the word. um those, I leave it up there for them so that they can feed on that. That's willing. You got to be real hungry though to fight through the bad audio and the technical difficulties. I get it, and so that's why we want to clean it up. We want to get it crispy, because we know, Israel's attention span is very short. It's very short. So unless somebody's seeking something in particular, and not just, running across a random class or running across a random subject, a lot of times they're not going to sit there and entertain, just not going to sit there and listen to bad audio, listen to technical difficulties and hangups and hiccups. So we want to get the sheep in. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure that we're protecting the sheep, feeding the sheep, and we giving the sheep everything they need, man, and leading them to the door, leading them to the way, leading them to the Hamashiach Yahushua. All right, so today we're gonna talk about strangers, orphans, and widows. All right, strangers, orphans, and widows, and why was the Most High even concerned with strangers, orphans, and widows? Why would He even be concerned with those individuals, strangers, orphans, and widows? Why is it important? One of the first things we need to understand, very important that you understand, especially when we have certain doctrines that we, that we spew out, about how the Most High feels about certain people and certain individuals or certain nations. We have to understand that a king's reputation, let me just slow this down for y'all. A king's reputation, hold on one second, y'all, I'm tripping, is based off of, a king's reputation is based off the condition of his people. All right. A king's reputation is, I ain't gonna say completely based, but it's mainly based off the condition of the people. All right, it's mainly based off the conditions of the people. Okay, a lot of people go out there to Dubai. You see our people. We'll go out there. We'll fly all the way to across the desert and go to Dubai. Why do we? What's out there that we really want? Like 10, 15 years ago, man, wasn't nobody flying to no Dubai. Well, nobody flying out there. Well, nobody, but they will go out there. They will go to the temple. Every person I see go out there. Every person I see that goes out there, I see them dealing with they go inside of the temple. They go inside of the temple and they put on the Muslim garments while they're walking around the Muslim temple, man. A lot of our people, most of our people Christians. So I know they when they go over there, they have to follow the customs. They end up following the customs of them folks. Why? Because of the condition of the people. All right, they're going over there because people seem like they're prosperous. Okay, people seem very prosperous. I don't know. I ain't been over there, but that's the way it looks. Okay, looks like everyone over there is doing well. They say there is no homelessness. They say there's nobody begging. They don't let people just sit up there and beg. You have heirs in the states that are passed down. You have, heir. You have Arab princes, oil princes, and billion trillion dollar tycoons, man. Like some of our brightest. I ain't gonna say some of our brightest. I'm gonna say some of the elite, some of the elite of our women, as far as the world goes. That's one of their greatest catches. If they can go over there and get some Arab, that some billionaire tycoon over there, oil tycoon over there, um, that's lovely to them. That's what they want, man. You know what I'm saying? If they can catch that, that's what Janet Jackson did. Eve did that. Even with that, what's that girl? Tahaje P. She talking about she having problems and she want to go over there. She want to go outside the country and go somewhere else. And she probably trying to go to Dubai. She probably trying to go to Dubai to see if, to see if it's better out there. If it's a better options out there. But yeah. So again, and I've said all of that to say the king's reputation is mainly based on the condition of the people. If the people are looking good, doing good, even our brothers and sisters out there in Demona. Okay, a lot of people were visiting Demona when they were hearing that them folks had no cancer in 50, 60 years. They had no cases of AIDS. So a lot of our people, even then, were going out there. You seen the pictures of Bobby Brown and Whitney, even what's that, Dr. Zebi, and when he had certain remedies in Honduras, and so you seen people flocking out there, and people even now, with the brother even passing, however that happened. Even now with that, people still flocking and holding on to those remedies. He built a certain reputation based off of, the conditions of certain people. All right, so people will flock to that, just like the Deuteronomy 4 and 6. I may have that in there, but they seeing our laws, statutes, and commandments, seeing our righteousness, and understand. If somebody pull that for me, Shalom, brothers. Matter of fact, you just go ahead and introduce yourself. See if I got some audio. I really can't hear anything
Shalom,
from y'all,
family,
brothers and
shalom.
sisters.
Brother Dion.
No, internet.
Brother Mike.
Yeah, shalom, shalom, brother Eliezer.
Hold on. Think that might have fixed it. Nah. Why I don't have audio?
Can you hear me out?
It's loud and clear, man.
Y'all can hear me, bro? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, Khan.
I hear you loud and
You
clear,
know
man.
what? I know why I don't have audio. And I ain't even. I know why I don't have audio. Okay. Hold on. Let me get off this mic. All right, I hear y'all now. Somebody got that Deuteronomy 4 and 6.
Yeah, Khan. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
All right, and they say they will see all these laws and say, and surely these are wise and understanding people, and that's what they're gonna flock to. They're gonna see that wisdom. They're gonna admire the wisdom. They're gonna admire the discipline. They're gonna admire the order, and they're gonna flock to those into that realm. And so when we go into this class talking about taking care of the orphan, the widows, and the strangers, this is what this is surrounding. All right, this is on the basis of the Most High understanding that you know we're going to have to keep these things. This is what that light is going to be. All right, this is what that light is going to be. Um, let's start out with Deuteronomy 14:28. We're gonna read 28, 29. Shalaki, anybody had anything to add or anything? Just off the introduction.
Fine. Well, all praise to the Most High God, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barakatah, to the Akims and Aquas. I think it's going to be a very good lesson to understand Deuteronomy 10 and 12. Can I get that real quick? One of your brothers put me Deuteronomy 10 and 12.
It's the
This is
book of.
Deuteronomy.
Oh, go ahead. You good? You good?
This is Deuteronomy 10 and 12. And now, now Israel, what doeth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul,
Go ahead.
to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
Okay. So the reason why I had a brother pull that because it's fitting for this class because it's to learn the Most High ways, man. To learn all his ways, not just focus on his judgment ways, but also his grace and mercy ways as well, man. So I'm looking forward to the class, brother.
Con, an excellent
What was the
precept.
title again?
Deuteronomy, strangers, orphans, and widows. Taking care of orphans and widows. And we pretty much just getting an understanding on why is that a necessity. I was giving the example of the king's reputation being based off of the conditions of the people. All right, so a lot of people be like, oh, well, if just like some of those countries in Africa, those third world countries, a lot of people don't look at that and be like, well, I want to go there and see what they're doing because the people are impoverished, and a lot of times that comes from just bad government policies. A lot of them folks in them impoverished countries are sleeping on diamonds.
Okay.
They could dig in the ground and grab a diamond out. They dig in a mine, but they have certain policies and things that have been set in order with corruption and all of these things that make them an impoverished nation. All right.
Yes.
So one of the key things to bringing these people in or seeing these other nations where they're going to be bringing in the treasures. This is why we see it in the end times where they're going to be bringing in the treasures and bringing in all of the forces of the Gentiles. And people are going to see that and going to admire that and admire these statues and in the order that the Most High sets up or that Yahweh Shai sets up in inside of His kingdom. That they're gonna want to be a part of that. They're gonna flock to that,
And
just like
Shalakia.
we flock to
Uh,
Dubai. Go ahead.
Shalakia. And that remind me of that movie Blood Diamond as well, man. These folks in canals, man, pulling out diamonds, man. Black diamonds
Con,
might be worth $100 million. In some remote area, they in the middle of the canal and they digging for diamonds, man. You know what I mean? And that's because a lot of times we gotta understand a lot of these countries they rich in resources, but the value of that resources is not valuable there because they don't have a free flowing society like America and the European nations, man.
Con, con. Um, so let's go to Deuteronomy 14:28. Start this thing on up.
Okay.
It's gonna be some quick 1-2 hitters. It ain't gonna be. Uh, we ain't gonna really be knocking down no chapters today.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 28.
Con,
At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithes of thine increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. And the Levite, because he have no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou doest.
con. And look at that last part. That the Lord thy God may bless thee. Okay, bring that tithe. All right, for the Levites. Okay, because they don't have an inheritance, but also the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. They also get to eat till they satisfy. All you can eat buffet off of those
Hmm.
tithes. You can eat
Right.
buffet on those tithes. For the orphan, the father, and because they don't have no covering. Okay, the fatherless, if you know, it's an orphan, they don't have a covering. The oh, hold on, y'all. Let me get off this Wi-Fi. All right, man. Woo! I didn't realize I was on that thing. So the orphan, none of them have a covering. All right, you know, a sister's supposed to have a covering until she's married. That's why it says widows. It don't say single baby mamas. It don't say, you know,
Hmm.
baby daddies. It don't say, jokers just, you know. But it says the strangers, the orphans, and the because everybody's supposed to have an inheritance. Everybody has a lot within Israel. Everybody family has a lot. So you shouldn't be homeless. You should be able to, build you up, build you a house. But everybody in those days, each of they satisfied. All right. Judgment must be righteous. Let's look at Deuteronomy 27 and 19. We'll deal with a lot with the law today. Judgment gotta be righteous, and that's something we have never experienced. I don't know if it's been experienced anywhere on this earth.
Hmm.
Righteous judgment.
You got that out?
You said Deuteronomy 27,
And
verse.
19.
It's Deuteronomy 27, starting at verse 19. Cursed be he that prevaileth the judgment of the strangers, fatherless and widow, and all the people shall say amen.
All the people say amen. It says, "Cursed be he that perverteth the judgment." All right, you have perverted judgment of the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. Somebody has to protect these folks because they don't have a covering. Deuteronomy 24 and 17.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, starting at verse 17. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless, nor take a widow's raiment to pledge.
Nor take a widow's nor take a widow's raiment, nor take a widow's clothes as a pledge. And I'm trying to get a better understanding of that. Um, for the debt, all right. Don't take a widow's clothes for earnest or a security deposit on a debt. Okay, don't take a clothes. And evidently, that's going on. You know what I'm saying? That was going on for that law to be there. Don't take her raiment for a pledge. Um, Isaiah chapter 1 and 17.
This is Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 17. And it reads, learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow.
All right, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow, and relieve the oppressed. All right, relieve the oppressed. We're not supposed to oppress the oppressed or be any more, understanding that we were oppressed and we have just been in multitudes of servitudes. We should not be having the heart to um oppress the already oppressed. We should be relieving the oppressed when it's coming within within Israel. Um, Dealings with widows. Let's look at First Timothy 5. First Timothy 5, and we're gonna read 1 through 16. First Timothy chapter 5, 1 through 15.
This is the book of First Timothy. You want me to get it out?
No, you good. Go ahead, bro. You good. You good. Mm-hmm.
First Timothy chapter 5 and verse 1. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren, the elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity. Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety, or kindness at home, and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before God. Now she that is a widow indeed, or desolate, trusteth in God, and continueth in supplications and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
Now look at the difference there. Look at the difference there. All right. Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in God, in the Lord, and continueth in supplications and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure, she dead. She dead while she living. Go ahead, Doc.
And these things give in charge that they may be blameless. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
God.
Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported, of for good works, if she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work. But the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to, to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they are not. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, for some are already turned aside after Satan. And if any man or woman that believeth have widows, Shalakia, if any man or woman that believeth have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed.
God, and don't let the church be charged. So we see we see about three or four different charges in there for the widows. If she if she is let not the widow be taken into the number under three score under 60. And this was during persecution times, when they didn't have much, they were still trying to collect bread amongst each other. But this is how we supposed to be. We can look at this and glean some things on just the on how we supposed to conduct, dealing with widows and those in need, and where the needs ranked on far as helping people. Because if she wasn't three score, they didn't really want to. They wanted her to just try to get remarried. Um, to marry another because she is a widow. Her husband has died. Rather than them help her at the time. Those who are over that, they get first
Say,
first bids on that help. And then we see here the verse 13. Withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house. Why she
Isaiah.
wandering about from house to house? She's wandering about because she's a widow. Staying with other people's houses. She don't really have nowhere to go. And then a lot of widows end up going to the temple, going to be prostitutes, in these idol temples.
Mm.
Where they learn to be idle, wandering from house to house, not only idle, but tellers. And why is she a teller? Because she in everybody's house. She in everybody's business, man. She know all the gossip, man. She in everybody's business. And she can end up becoming a teller from this. All right. So we see, we see how these things end up coming about. Um, it says the younger women, verse 11, but the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton, that wax means grow against Christ, they will marry. All right, they will get married. So they'll have that desire, and they don't want to deal with Christ. They don't want to deal with these law, statutes, and commandments. Them young sisters gonna want to go out here and get married. All right, and that's ultimately what we wanted them to do out the gate. Yahweh preserves the orphan, the widow, and the strangers. Look at Jeremiah 49 and 11.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, starting at verse 11. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me.
God, it says, leave thy fatherless children, and I will preserve them alive, and let the widows trust in me. All right, go ahead and read that next verse.
It say, for thus said the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it.
God, and just understanding this prophecy too. This is a prophecy against Edom, all right, against Basra, against Esau. We see here, lead thy fatherless children, and I'll preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. Um,
Hey, Shalakia.
Go ahead.
And what a lot of people gonna realize is that this is going into that range, bro. That's part of that range. You know what I mean? When you read the whole verse of 49, it's going into the rain, man. It's going into that period. So yeah, man, we got a lot of studying to do, brother.
We got a lot of
Oh
stuff we
yeah.
got to look at. We got a lot of stuff we got to look at. All right, and put these things together. But yeah, that's a prophecy against Edom. Prophecy pretty much against all. If you like I said, read that chapter, man. It's prophecy against all these nations. But we still have a preservation of the widows and the fatherless. Um, Psalms 46, 146 and 9.
This
It's
is
the
the
book
book
of
of
Psalms.
Psalms, chapter 146 and verse 9. And it reads, The Lord preserveth the strangers. He relieveth the fatherless and widow. But the way of the wicked he turneth upside down.
But the way of the wicked he turneth upside down. But he's going to
Hmm.
preserve the strangers. He's going to relieve the fatherless and the widows. And we seen that again. We seen it in Jeremiah 49. Um, Psalms 82 and 3.
What was that last Psalms 149? Was it
140
146.
or 146? The
in
water,
verse 9.
the water.
Psalms 82 in verse 3.
This Psalms chapter 82, verse 3. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy.
It says, defend the poor and fatherless and do justice to the afflicted and the needy. All right. Psalm 68 and 5.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 68 and verse 5. A father of the fatherless and a judge of the widow is God in his holy habitation.
Come on now. It's God in his holy habitation. He's a father to the fatherless and a judge to the widows. All right. He's going to give judgment, like he's going to give justice. All right. Or defender of the widows. He's going to look after these folks. That's why we have all of these laws and all of these provisions for the stranger, the follow, the widows and the orphans. You know, and this is like the same thing again. Like when with America, man, a lot of people don't like America. They gonna always another country gonna always throw up the way America treats so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans in this country. If a nation is always gonna throw that up, it's always gonna tarnish America with the blood that they have on their hands. Nobody's gonna want this country to really lead them. A lot of this stuff is just happening out of necessity. Countries just have to let these folks rule over them because they have nuclear weapons and other things like that of that nature.
Hmm.
Um, let's look at Leviticus 19:33.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 33. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him.
It said, if a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex them. Read the next one.
It say, but the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him
What
as
that say? Wait,
thyself.
hold on. What that say? That verse
It says,
34 again.
it's saying, thou shalt love him as thyself,
Mm,
for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am
mm.
the Lord your God.
And this is letting you know what kind of stranger this is. In case we try to play the word play with it, we know what kind of stranger. This is the same type of stranger we were when we were in Egypt. All right, when he dwells with you in your land, all right, you're not supposed to treat him any different. Now there's certain laws that like we could tax them, that we can't tax our brother, and then we can have them for servitude. Then we gonna have our brother Israelite brothers in the servitude for 7 years. But I think you can if they agreed, you could have them in servitude forever. It's a procedure where you nail their ear, you pierce their ear, um, with them having an agreement with that. But when it comes to certain judgments and you know, you're supposed to treat them the same. It's gonna be justice. It's not gonna be like here where I was in this I'm in this real estate class or whatever trying to, and I heard the sister say to me, the one who teaches the class, she was saying that it's you can't it's a law that the appraisers can't appraise your house. They can't be um what's the word I'm looking for, man?
It's called fair
Outside of,
housing.
yeah, the fair housing, but the appraisers though, they can't appraise your house just based off of your race or whatever. But yeah, it's under that fair housing act. But they can't do that. But we know they do that. We know
They
they
do it
still
every
do
day.
that. Yeah, they still doing it every day, man. You go to it when you get. That's why it was a couple on the news where they had it was a black couple probably in a predominantly white neighborhood. They had a white couple they got an appraisal. They had and pretended like they were white. They had white people
Mhm.
in there, and he gave them like a extra 50 to 100,000 on the appraisal. And
Yup.
then
Change the
when he
pictures in
realized,
the house.
yeah, okay, you see
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah. Hmm.
God,
Yeah, man, they doing this. They doing this, man. What I'm saying, discrimination,
Exactly.
discrimination, man. Um, and things like that are unjust, man. We have this system of racism, white supremacy. These things are unjust, and this is again, this earth has never seen justice. They haven't. It's never
Right.
seen a right and just system. All right, it's never been since Adam and Eve, man. Since the fall, we haven't had it. So even when we going out there and we saying that, oh, we want justice, we want peace, it's never been on earth
Right.
since Adam and Eve.
Right.
You don't even know what it tastes like. You don't know what it smells like. You never experienced it. Um,
There's no
And, Shal-
justice, no peace.
and Shalakia.
Con,
And that's why the Most High was establishing on these laws when we went into Israel the first time. That's why he was establishing it, because that's why the scripture says when the wicked rule, the earth mourns, but when the righteous rule, the earth rejoices. And that's a part of being Israel. About being that chosen seed, we always going to the point of being like the rich man's son, is that it ain't gonna never seem fair to you because you are Israel and you got to endure. But then when people get into your land, you can't be like them. You see what I'm saying? You're not gonna be able to be like them because you guys chosen. It's the same thing with the rich man's son, man. The Most High expect way more out of us than he do these other nations. And so yeah, we Israel, but yeah, man, it's a price to pay to be the rich man's son. And I you.
con, and thou shalt love him as thyself. I'm telling you to love the stranger um, as thyself. And this again, like I was saying, this before we even get into the land. Laying these things out for us before we even get to the land to let you know this what I want you to do. All right, so that everyone will see and know that you serve a just and righteous and powerful, terrible Lord. Go ahead, Doc.
That's right.
and Shalakia. Just to nail it home, in that verse 33, it says, "And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him." That vex, and I got a T by that vex, and it says, "or oppress." So ye
Con,
shall not oppress him.
God.
con,
And she
con,
like I got another precept on that too, man. Isaiah 56 and verse 6. Isaiah 56 and verse 6, and it reads, also the sons of the strangers that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servant. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and take hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in the house of Shlakim, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called the house of prayer for all people.
Hmm.
Uh, and this why this is why it's important that we shine our light. Um, for that reason, it's not for us, it's for him. And we can't tell him what he wants. That's what that's what he wants, man. We just gotta do what we supposed to be doing. Exodus 23:9. They're gonna bring the burnt offerings and the sacrifices. It's gonna be a house for all. Brothers will argue with that about that, man.
Good, good,
It's the
good.
book of Exodus, chapter 23, starting at verse 9. Also, thou shalt not oppress the stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
You know the heart, you know the mind, you know what it feel like to be a stranger. All
Hmm.
right, don't oppress them, don't vex them, don't do what they did to you, man. Don't take the darn straw away and have them just making the bricks from scratch. Don't have them doing that. Have to find the straw around Egypt, run around, get the straw, then come back, make the mud. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's some more on
And
that.
that, go ahead,
Verse 10, it says, "In 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and shalt gather in thy fruits thereof. But the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard and with thy olive yard." So I guess in that 7th year, is that like is that is
It's
that
like a
saying what I'm
Sabbath.
thinking? Saying
It's a Sabbath for the land.
John.
It's a Sabbath for the land, and that the land needs to rest. And while it's resting, them folks can feast off of it, man. All right, that the poor and the lead the beasts of the field shall eat it. Don't be running them up out of there. Don't be running the crows up out of there. Take your scarecrows down. Take your
Yeah, right.
scarecrows down. Take the don't be trying to shoot up all the deer. Though they in there grazing on your stuff. You gotta leave that for them, man. He taking care of everybody, man. And we went into slavery because of that. We didn't let the land rest because we
Kind,
weren't letting that land rest for that 7th year.
Hmm.
We
gotta
went into
precept.
captivity over that, man. A lot of these jokers still don't do that. You know.
I never read that.
The land's supposed to rest. You supposed to just let that stuff grow. Like in our backyard, we got a pomegranate tree. Man, we don't do nothing to that thing, man. That thing is just growing. It's about 70 pomegranates on there right now. I
Mm.
don't know where the squirrels used to eat it up, but I don't know where the squirrels going. I think the squirrels eating fast food now. So, I barely rarely see squirrels now, man. But the squirrels used to eat that stuff up, man. Used to eat everything on that tree. But yeah, man, I was just showing my dad that the other day, man. Like, man, look at all the pomegranates, bro. You don't even have to touch that tree. And yeah, that's one of the things, man. You gotta get a land rest too, man. You can't be wearing out the land. That's why it doesn't grow here. That's why we get all
Yeah,
our food and stuff from
Mhm.
South America and in Mexico, man. By the time we get it here, it's organic, man. It's already spotted up. It's already about to go.
Shalaki, I got a precept on that too, man.
Go ahead,
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, and I'm gonna start at verse 33. And it said, "And I will scatter you among the heathens, and I will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. Then shall the land enjoy her Sabbath, as long as it lies desolate.
Hmm.
And ye may be in your enemy lands. Even then shall the land rest, and enjoy her Sabbath. There you
God.
go, bro.
God. So you know, that was exactly excellent precept, man. That's exactly what I was talking about. You know,
Okay.
he ended up putting us in captivity so that land could rest. Y'all drag, and you gotta understand the most of the connection he had with Cain and Abel, man. He's like, man, said the land told me, man, the earth told me that you done murdered your brother, man. What you doing down there? So you got to understand that thing, man. So let's look at how it was in Egypt. We read that Exodus 23:9, you know, about, you know, you should have the mind of a stranger. You shouldn't do it. How was it in Egypt? Let's look at Numbers 11:5. And then somebody give me Exodus 16:3.
I get that numbers.
I got Exodus 16:3.
Uh,
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 11 and verse 5. And it reads, "We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic."
all right, and this them, rehearsing what was going on in Egypt. With that, they used to eat that stuff freely, man. They had the fish and the garlic and the cucumbers. Um, now they eating man everything provided by the Most High, but this just gives us a little picture of at least what they were eating, not necessarily how they would treat it, but they had access to that food. Seems like freely, just like what I'm saying, Yahweh making these provisions, where you don't glean the corners of the field. I may have that in here where you don't glean the corners of the field. You leave that for, what I'm saying, the orphans and the poor, and then you see that sabbatical year that they can come, they can be in your yard picking. Joker used to get killed as a kid, man. You almost get killed jumping somebody's gate eating some plums.
Okay.
Joker come out the house. Joker come out the house.
Okay.
It don't
Hey,
matter how.
hey, hey, you remember that road they played on Friday? Stop it in my collard greens, pinto beans.
Mess around, get shot back there, man. Jumping in somebody's yard, taking that stuff up, man.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Uh,
should, yeah.
what you say, brother Dixon? What y'all used to do?
I said we used to jump the fence, man, trying to get
Try to get
plums.
to the yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We used to do it
And
all the
then
time, man.
we were waiting for the neighbors to leave and go
To
out.
leave. No, you were wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey,
And we jump
hey,
out of the fence and get that little plum right quick and jump right back over.
And jump on back over, man, and go to
okay.
the house, man. You don't want nothing but a plum, man. That's it.
Hey, hey, Salakia, man, down in Miami, man, we never used to go to the store, man. We used to jump and get them mangoes and everything, man.
Man,
They go in there with grocery bag full of mangoes, brother. You done with it, brother. Sugar canes,
man.
whatever, brother.
Yeah,
Living
it
off
was
the
good old
land.
days.
Living
It
off the
was good old
land.
days.
Yes,
Good old
sir.
days, brother.
Yeah.
Good old
Somebody
days.
used to call you over to pick the pecans out their yard. It was a
Okay.
burden. It was a
Yeah.
Yeah,
burden. All them pecans falling down in the
You
yard
remember throwing
Tree,
sticks
yeah.
up in pecan tree, man?
and knocking them
Yeah.
pecans down.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, man.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
we had a
man.
two going in our yard.
You had what in there?
I said, well, we had two pecan trees in our yard, so people just come
Oh,
over there
okay.
and get the
And
pecans, you know.
snatch them things on up. Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yeah,
You try to buy a bag of pecans now.
Yeah, the thing's high, man.
Them
The thing's
things
high.
sky high. Them things sky high, man.
Yeah, man.
What is that? Somebody got that Exodus 16:3?
Yeah, Kai. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 16, verse 3, and it reads, And the children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died, but the hand of the Lord is in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pot And when we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger.
So we again we just gleaning far as what they were eating from Egypt, but you know, you can imagine the most I hearing this, man, hearing this darn these, you know, pull these folks up out of that servitude, and now you sitting up here crying out that I done brought you out here to kill you. Um, you can see some, you know, out of most I could look at some ungrateful people and be like, whoo, whoo, you know, all praise for that grace and that mercy,
Huh?
cause that's grace there. You know, a lot of jokers ain't finna let you talk crazy like that, man. I had a sister tell me that one time, man, that, you know, when I was in the world, man, I was shacked up, and what she say? Oh, she said, man, you don't really do nothing for me, and you know, you stand in my house pretty much rent free, not paying nothing really. And I was like, yeah, well, if you feel that way, you gotta go, man. You gotta go. I didn't have that patience. I ain't had that patience that the Most High has. When Israel sitting up here saying this craziness, I done pulled you. I done did all of this to get you up out of Egypt, and y'all out here saying this craziness like that, man. But that's, you know, we gotta, you know, put ourselves sometime, man. Just look at how ungrateful we were. Deuteronomy 15:15.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 15. And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in the land of Egypt, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing today.
Son, you should remember that you was a bondman. I keep that in remembrance that you was a bondman, and you was delivered from that thing. Let's look at the abundance in Egypt. Exodus 1, we're gonna read 6 through 14.
Exodus 1 and 6.
Con.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 6. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Python and Ramsey. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in bricks, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake of to the Hebrew wives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he
Well, that's all I
said,
wanted.
Oh,
That's all I
Salah.
wanted. We just dealing with the conditions and the abundance that Egypt had, and you know, I pretty much you know, just freestyle that earlier. Let's look at do not oppress the stranger. Let's look at Malachi 3 and 5. But yeah, I just want dealing with the whole, you know, how they oppressed us and the motive behind it, and them dealing with the straw and taking that, so we still have to make those bricks, making that life a little harder for us. Well, a lot harder, not a little harder, a lot harder. It's one thing to be laying bricks, yes, but then have to make the bricks. You got to make the bricks and lay them. A whole nother level.
Hey, this the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 5. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppose the hireling and his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, said the Lord of hosts.
All right, and those that turn the stranger away from his rights. Okay, stranger has rights. Those who oppress the hireling of his wages. You can't be hiring somebody and then holding on to their money, man. The Most High said he's gonna have a swift judgment for you. All right. Can't be false swears. Um, and those oppressing the widow and the fatherless. All right. There's a swift judgment that comes with that. Deuteronomy. I think we read that already. Let's do Deuteronomy 23:7.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land.
You should not abhor Edomite because he's your brother, and you should not abhor an Egyptian because thou was a stranger in his land. All right, you're not gonna hate him because he was a stranger in that land. All right, so they did oppress you, but they did also before they got to that point where Joseph was gone. They brought you in and fed you and let you become a strong nation to the point of they becoming a threat. Um, let's look at Exodus 12:45. You're gonna read 45 and then just drop down to verse 49. Well, you can just read 45 through 49. Just drop it down.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 45. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. When a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof.
So we see that terminology again. He shall be as one that is born in the land, and we see the ordinance of Passover that is for all of Israel. Okay, and then if the stranger that sojourns with you wants to be a partaker in that feast, then he has to be circumcised. All right, and that circumcision um, kind of brings him into that covenant where he can take part in that, but he can't do that until he gets circumcised. No uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. Let's look at Leviticus 18:26.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, and verse 26. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation,
Neither any
nor
of
any
your own
stranger,
nation, nor who,
nor any stranger that sojourneth among you.
nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. All right. So neither any of your own nation, nor a sojourner among you. All right. You got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. You want to sojourn around Israel. You want to cleave to Israel. You have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. You want to dwell in the land of Israel. You want to dwell in the kingdom. You're going to have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. You want to say, listen, you want to say something foolish like what's that? The replacement theology. You got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't want to do it.
Right.
They want to be Israel, but they don't want to be Israel.
I want to be
All right, they want to
Israel.
be Israel, but they don't want to keep the laws. Yeah, brother, I know I'm an Israelite. Yeah. But we ain't gotta keep them laws.
They want all the
Yeah,
strength, but none of the weakness.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Con,
And Shalaki and none of the judgment either. Don't
Huh.
nobody want to take the judgment of Israel. You
con.
always know what I mean? So yeah, and that Shalaki, yeah, that goes back to that Acts 15 as well, man. When you see the strangers being circumcised here, when you go on Act 15, it referred to that we wrote no such custom that they had to be circumcised. And a lot of that stuff goes back into the land, because a lot of times when you go into Acts, they was really outside of Israel, or they really didn't have jurisdiction over Israel at the time. So these laws they couldn't implement because they didn't have the jurisdiction over Israel. So you'll see Paul and them and all them saying that nah, it ain't necessary for the strangers to be circumcised, because we didn't have jurisdiction over the land at the time.
Con. And we didn't have, like you said, we didn't have complete rulership. And
Right.
this why you see, Israel telling them, hey, y'all gotta get circumcised, man. And
Right.
y'all trying to be part of this thing, y'all need to be circumcised. When they call
Right.
them Judaizers, but that's where it comes from. It ain't that
Yeah.
they doing this to be out of spite. They're doing this because they see it in the law.
The law. Right.
So and then they coming in, then they head, well, they strangers and they trying to come in, but we in Rome and da da. Right, they gotta get circumcised.
Mhm.
All right. But then when you have a council, and they came up with that council, that's what we got to go with, man. Those brothers operating within the spirit, and this is what we have to follow. Okay, they all agreed, through the spirit that they didn't have to get circumcised. Um, let's look at Leviticus 24:22, and that's things, adjustments that had to be made because we, that wasn't what we were doing. We weren't going to no Gentiles. We weren't doing that. So
Right.
it's just a whole new ball game. And so you had to write some jurisdictions and come up with some things for dealing with them out, especially outside, like I was saying, outside of Israel.
It's the book
Leviticus
of Leviticus
24:22.
24 and verse 22. It says, "Ye shall have one manner of law, as well for the stranger,
Strangers.
as for one of your own country. For I am the Lord your God."
All right, one law in the land. All right, it's one law in the land, and it's gonna be the same for the stranger as it is, uh, a native born. Let's look at Exodus 12:19. Got a few more precepts on them shared statues in the Torah.
What was that precept again? Up?
Exodus 12 and 19.
This
This
is
is
the book of
Exodus.
Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 19. 7 days 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
All right, even with these feasts, that leaven got to be out. Whether it's a stranger, whether it's Israel or a stranger or that's in the land. Let's look at Exodus 20:10. We read this all the time. But again, like I've said it several times, man. A lot of these statues are connected with the land. And when the land is back, when we're back in the land, these statues are gonna be connected to it. So any of those that's coming to that land, they're gonna have to follow these statues.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 10. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
That is, what about the stranger outside the gate? Because the stranger, what about the stranger? It said the stranger within thy gates. What about the stranger outside the gates?
You're not
Would he
concerned
have
about
to
him.
keep it?
Yeah, then you got to do a work. Yeah,
That's what I would take from it.
That kind.
That's what I would take from it. They got to be within the gates. All right, those
Right.
strangers. If they within that gate, they got to keep it, no matter
Right.
what. I think in Israel now, those the Ashkenazis and they out there. I think they do have they shut down for the Sabbath, but I think it's people. I think foreigners can be running around though. I ain't sure, but I do think foreigners be um, running around through there. But I had to research that, but that'll be interesting to look into.
Right.
Shared some of the judgments. I'm not gonna keep beating this dead horse, man. But it's a plethora of precepts, y'all. Okay. Let me just pull one. Leviticus 24:16.
He said, share judgment.
Share, yeah. That they shared in some of the judgments also.
it said 24 and 16. Not
Uh, um, 24:16. Con.
this is Leviticus chapter 24, verse 16. And he that blasphemes the name of the Lord, he shall surely be put to death. And all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger as he that is born in the land. When he blaspheme the name of the Lord, shall be put to death.
Con. All right. Whether he be a stranger, if you in that land and you blaspheme the Lord, you gonna be put to death. Okay.
Hmm.
I read one more, one more of those.
Uh,
With this abortion thing. 20 Leviticus 20:2.
Leviticus 20, verse 2.
Con.
Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourn in Israel, that give any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones.
So either the children of Israel or the strangers that sojourn with them, if they give their children to Moloch, they will be put to death. All right. You know. You doing that outside? You down there in Philistine's land? You down there in Basra? You doing okay? But if you come to Israel and you do that mess there, you're gonna be put to death. All right. We don't care who
That's
know
right.
you. We don't care who know you, or or you was just down here for 2 days, or somebody just hired you to fix their roof. You gonna get put to death. Or you just got brought into captivity. You just got brought in here some booty that's been brought back to the land. You do that mess, you gonna be put to death.
Shalaki. Shalaki. I got a precept on that too, man, about the stranger blaspheming the name of the Lord, man. I got a account in the scriptures that proves that, man. Um, this the book of Leviticus 24 and verse 10. The
Give us
book
a
of
second. Not give
Leviticus
us a
24
this
verse
is
10.
it's kind of important.
Okay.
Okay.
Con.
Okay. You can read it for me, Brother Dion.
Leviticus 24 and 10.
Okay.
And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel, and the son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed. And they
Mm,
brought him unto Moses, and his mother's name was Shalomith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. And they put him in war inward, that the mind of the Lord might be showed them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Bring forth him that have cursed without the camp, and let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him.
mm. See that? So here it is. We have this brother that was Israelitish woman's son, but he was Egyptian, and he blasphemed the name of the Lord, man. And the Most High had Israel, the ones that heard him, put their hands on him and rest on them, man. So that's a prime example of what Brother Feeney was bringing out about the strangers blaspheming the Lord, because his father was an Egyptian, so technically he was a stranger, even though his mother was an Israelitish woman. His father was an Egyptian, so he was an Egyptian.
And they say that too, man. I don't know. Did we read verse 16?
Yeah, okay. 16. It
And
said
he
it
that
said. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and he that blasphemeth the name of the Lord, he shall be put to death, and all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger as he that is born in the land, when he blaspheming the name of the Lord, shall be put to death.
Okay.
Just pretty much summarizing it, just to make sure that it's just confirm that it's connected to that. What that young man did was connected, um, to that blasphemy in that law, that we read there. Um, let's look at James 1:27. This is my last precept, and then I'll open up the floor for anybody have anything else.
It's the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 27. It's a pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
That's pure religion. A lot of us say, "Well, I'm not religious," and religion just being religious just means you worshiping God. So we all are worshipers of Yahweh, and that the purest form of religion is that's undefiled, is taking care of the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep yourself unspotted from the world, man. To keep that world up off of you, to wash that thing up off of you. And I end with that, man. Hope this thing was edifying. Anybody have anything else? Any other precepts or anything to add or questions?
Yeah, Shalaki, I had pretty much had a precept underneath each one of those verses that was basically saying the same thing somewhere else. So, and like you
Yeah,
said,
that's
it's a lot of
con. I yeah, I
them.
say I'm going through the slides. I might not have read about 15 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, just for time purposes, they would have been here to 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And they saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them saying the same thing, man. Like I say, you ain't no need to be no dead horse. Um,
Wow.
but we see it in there. We see those statues in there for the fatherless, for the widows, for the orphans, um, and for the strangers that dwell within the land. Um, that that the land is not somewhere where um, things are defiled and people are mistreated and people are oppressed and so like the laws were to avoid those things and to keep wickedness out. You know what I'm saying? That's why you would stone a joker. That's why you would, you'll put him outside of the camp. Um, so the law is just. The law is just and good, man. And holy. And
Okay.
us keeping that thing will bring a light. We'll shine a light, and you know what I'm saying, increase the glorification. It gives the glorification, the glory unto the Father, where we know that, you know what I'm saying, those folks are serving the right and just God. Go ahead, brother
Okay.
Ken.
Salakia. And this is also how you store up your heavenly treasures.
Con,
Um, like we had in that class I did a couple of weeks, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, whatever. This is a prime example of how you store up heavenly treasures by treating those folks with respect and helping them.
con,
And Shalakia, and it's imperative, man. When we go into Judges 5 and 11, one of y'all brothers give me Judges 5 and 11 real quick. Judges 5 verse 11. And it's imperative to understand what Judges 5 and 11 is about. Judges 5 verse 11.
This is Judges chapter 5 and verse 11.
Uh-huh.
They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water, they shall there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his village in Israel. Then shall the
Okay.
people of the Lord go down to the gates. Keep going.
No, Con, you good. So when we understand this prophecy, we got to understand what that actually talking about, right? When they say there, brother, Michael, can you give me that in John 4 and 22? When it says that there we should be rehearsing the righteous act of the Lord, that don't mean that we in the land that we are not in Israel and we in our enemy's land. Don't mean that we don't supposed to keep God's commandments. It's just certain laws we can't keep, like Passover, the Feast of Tabernacle, the Feast of Wheat, which is the Pentecost. We keep them, but we rehearsing the act because we really supposed to do it where? In Israel. We supposed to be doing it in Israel. So there we rehearsing the act of the Lord because the Lord's name is not in Israel right now. His name is not in Israel, so we can't do it in Israel. So here in America, we rehearse that act until Christ come and redeem us. But we supposed to keep God's commandments. If the Bible say don't sell or buy on the Sabbath, we don't supposed to be buying and selling on the Sabbath. And I don't care what land you in, you don't supposed to do that. You know what I mean? We can't use that we rehearsing the act just to break God's laws. Understand? So get that real quick. John 4 and 22.
This book of John, chapter 4, verse 22.
Okay.
Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for
Uh-huh.
salvation is of the Jews.
Read on.
But the hour cometh, and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
And the truth, I think I want Shalaki, I think I wanted 16. Let me look at it real quick. John, I think it's 16 what I want to start at. Shalakia. Da, 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 da. Um Shalakia. Let me get it real quick. Um also I'm in First John. Shalakia. Shalakia family. I just want to pull this precept real quick. Because it been a couple of things that have been going through my head about us rehearsing this act, and sometimes we play with God's laws because we thinking that we rehearsing the act, but it's only things that we can't keep because we're not in the land. Um, yeah, four and the woman says, "Sir, yeah." Start at verse 21, Bobby Shaw. John 4:21. Start at verse 19 to 21.
This is John chapter 4, verse 19.
Uh-huh.
The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father.
Right, Shalakia. So you see, she said that we worship in the mountain, but Christ was saying that you're supposed to worship in Jerusalem. But what he told her, a time come when you're not going to be able to do neither. But the reason why he told her that she needed to be worshiping in Jerusalem because the Father's name was there. His name was in Jerusalem. The temple was there. The Ark of the Covenant was there, and that's where we're supposed to win and worship the Most High God, right? But right now we just rehearsing the act because the Most High God is covenant is not in Israel right now because of the Ark of the Shalakia. The Ark of the Covenant been can y'all still hear me? Yes, Shalakia. The
Yeah,
Ark
you
of the
good.
Covenant have been destroyed and the temple has destroyed. So this is why we rehearse certain acts because the temple had been destroyed and the Ark of the Covenant been destroyed. And with that I yield.
Con, and a good example of that too, man, is just we could have did that when we was when we was back in the land. We could have just stopped doing the laws and start just listening to what them folks were telling us to do.
Right,
What the Romans and what the Greeks were telling us to do. We could have just did that, but we fought against that. You know what I'm saying? That's why we celebrate the Feast of Dedication, and we do the destruction of Nicanor and Feast of Purim, and because of our zeal trying to get back to the law,
right,
right? Having a zeal to get back to get back to doing the law. Even Daniel, in Babylon, um, still trying to keep whatever he could. I ain't finna bow down to that. I'd rather eat this. I don't want to be eating that hog. I'd rather eat, lettuce and water. Just give me some vegetables and some water. Um, and so we see us doing it, even Passover, we see us doing it outside the land.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, we rehearse these things, man. Um, and we gotta stay having a zeal because we gotta understand that these things please the Lord, man.
right, cut.
Um, and we should want to have a zeal to do, thus says the Lord. We should have a zeal to want to do it, and want to get back to the land, and want to get outside because we can do it properly.
That's right.
Um, but yeah, man, excellent. Yeah, because people could take that, especially some of the precepts we were reading, and be like, well, no, we just got to be in the land. But brothers already doing, if for
Right,
any reason, I can find any reason to feel like he can just do what he want to do, man. And these things ain't something you can just cut on and off. See, Joker don't know that it's the spirit that wills you to even do this thing, man. It's the
That's
spirit that
right.
wills you to have that zeal to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. You're just not gonna be able to cut that on when you go into the land. You
Right.
ain't just gonna be able to just go into the land. Hey man, you know what, man? You know, yo, man, I'm done, man. I repent. I'm fully repentant, man. That repentance, it takes work, man. Take
Okay.
work to come off that thing, man. It's through the
Okay.
spirit.
And because Shalaki, and I'd like me and Brother Mike was talking earlier, the spirit also give you the spirit to keep pushing. Like the flesh want to stop.
That's
This
right.
flesh want to stop, man. But it's the spirit, the will of God, man, will keep giving us the will to get out there and do the work, man. Because we see it seems like our people ain't listening. It seems like they throwing up their hand. We having more problems out of our people, but it's God's spirit that keep on. That's what Christ had to deal with, what the disciples had to deal with, or what the prophet had to deal with. So here we are, man. Here we are. We got to deal with. We got the same spirit as the prophet and Christ had when they was on the earth, man.
Right.
Anybody had anything else?
Hey, I got a pre-sale. I know you say we were being a dead heart, but I thought I seen still breathing. But this is Ezekiel chapter 47, 21 through 23. It says, "So shall ye divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it says, and it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall ye give him his inheritance, said the Lord God."
Excellent precept.
Well, that's
And
that's a dagger, bro.
that's a
Hey,
that's
that,
that's a hard
that's
blow
a
there. And
hey, that's a nerve.
brother don't want to hear that one, man.
nah, brother don't want to hear that one. Brothers don't want to hear
Hey,
that one, man.
You
But
got it
you see
wrong,
that
Op.
same wording. You see that same word in there, man.
yeah, man.
As
As the
born in the
land.
land, as man.
Yeah,
You see that same wording, continuing. And this is all they doing is again just listening to the they just quoting the Torah, man. They know,
yeah,
these things were already written there. These the
yeah,
types and foreshadows of, and this is prophecy. It's still to be fulfilled.
yeah,
But yeah, and then I said, we
yeah,
read that one precept where it said you cannot um you know keep the stranger's rights away from him.
yeah.
You got to give him his right. And if the Lord
Yeah,
say among there, you got to give him
he's right.
uh his right, man.
Yeah,
God.
So
yeah. And Shalakia, when you go into that Ezekiel 47, that's going into end time prophecy. That's kingdom connotation. That's kingdoms being built. That's going into kingdom. So, brother, that's a Michael Myers and and Jason dagger, brother. That's a
God.
that's a Friday the 13th dagger right there, brother. But all praises, man.
Listen,
yeah, I just pulled out the gauge.
Yeah, he did.
But
All
yeah,
praises.
God.
hey, we'll close on out on that one, man.
Yeah, can.
Edifying to the body, man. I hope we understood how important it is to take care of the widows and the strangers, um, and the fatherless. And we can't neglect these things, man. This is the will of the Father, man, and this gives him glory at the end of the day, man. So again, we hope this thing was edifying. We'll be back on Friday on the Bring It Out TV. Brother Eleazar bringing this thing out. With that, I'm gonna say shalom, man. Y'all be blessed.
Shalom. Yahba Shemi Asab Barakatah.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.